Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning back in. Today I want to hear from you guys out there. I want to know, what do you think is more important when choosing a fishing lure? Is it the shape and profile, the overall look of the lure, or is it the action and the movement of the bait that generates those strikes? It really seems like depending on what angler you talk to, you're going to get a different answer. There's a lot of anglers out there that would say if you're trying to mimic a bluegill, then you pick up a bait that looks exactly like a bluegill. So like the Berkeley Gilly is one that a lot of people say is an extremely good replication of a bluegill. And then you'll have other people that want to throw a swim bait and they say, no, just give me a boot tail swim bait. I don't care if it doesn't look exactly like the fish. I like the tail movement. I like the way it swims. That's going to generate the strikes. You know, the same sort of thing can be said for your craw style baits. There's a lot of people out there that love a very, very natural looking craw. This is the Champ Craw by Berkeley, and it's one of the most realistic looking crayfish lures I have seen. The color, the size, the way the bait looks in the water. And then you have other people out there that are like, no, give me a craw style bait that just has a bunch of flappers on the end. That's all I care about. Doesn't have to look exactly like a crayfish. You know, these are questions I think all of us ask, all of us look at when we go to the bait shop and we say, what should I buy? What should I try? And I don't have the answer for you, because in some instances I feel like matching the hatch, having the profile is like one of the most crucial things. In other cases, I'm like, I don't know that the profile matters at all. I want something that creates some water disturbance, something the fish have never seen before, and that's going to get the fish to come over and bite that bait. I've talked about it a lot of times on the channel where I truly believe fish, bass specifically, are very, very interested fish in their surroundings. The problem is they don't have hands. They can't pick up a bait. They can't investigate it. The way they explore something new is they put it in their mouth. They determine whether they should eat it or not eat it. So if you've got a new bait that doesn't look like anything, are they putting it in their mouth because they have no idea what it is? I don't know. I think there's some credibility to it, but at the same time, I also feel like the fish out there haven't seen every bait that's on the market. And if you brought them bait that looked exactly like a crayfish, they'd probably put that in their mouth too. You know, I personally think that overall size is important. You know, if you're fishing around fish that are feeding on juvenile bluegill, I think a juvenile bluegill size bait is important. I don't know that it has to swim like a bluegill though. I think the same could be said for a lot of your bait choices out there. I've had instances where fish are feeding on, you know, small shad. And from that standpoint, if you throw a full-size spinner bait, you'll get half the number of bites that you'd get if you throw a really small micro spinner bait. So I do think there's something to be said for profile, because the fish can be keyed in on whatever it is that they're eating and the size of the fish that they're eating. But when it comes to shape and look and profile compared to movement, I don't know what's best. In some instances, I think if you can have both in a bait, sometimes that's the best thing that you're going for. If you have a craw style bait that looks just like a crayfish, but also has extra vibration and unusual movement, because I don't know about you guys, but I've never seen a crayfish that does this in the water with its claws. It just doesn't do that. You know, the same thing can be said with a bluegill or a shad. If you watch how they swim, they don't have big tail movement side to side. Their little tail is vibrating and that's about it. So it's not like the movement is something that necessarily triggers it. It's just something that the fish definitely are willing to bite. I don't know which is more important. So if I had my choice, I personally would like to have a little bit of both. I'd like to have the profile that matches a fish, but also has movement that may not be as natural for that forage species as something that's giving off bigger, more unusual movement. So it'll be interesting. I'd love to hear from you guys, because it seems like I talked to one angler and they're like, it's all about matching the hatch. I talked to another angler and they're like, you know, just give me a bait that's got a lot of movement. Give me something the fish have never seen before and they feel confident with it. You know, I could make the argument, you see all the worms. Think of how many bass have been eaten or been caught by eating some form of plastic worm for the last 100 years. I don't know what they mimic, But I tell you what, the bass love a plastic worm, whether it's ribbon tail, straight tail, boot tail, it doesn't matter. They'll bite it. And I still have no idea what it mimics. Maybe it's a leech. Maybe they think it's a dying baitfish. I don't know, but it works. So from that standpoint, I don't even know what profile that would match. I don't know. I'd love to hear from you guys out there as to what you think is more important. What do you look for when you go to the bait shop? Is it you're trying to match the hatch, perfect looking color, or is it something that you think just would generate more movement? Or is it both? So throw it in the comment section. I'm curious what we're going to get today because I'm just as confused as most of you. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all the support. Stay tuned. We'll have a new video coming out tomorrow.